want to start off. I want to say thank you to Jackson Visuals for taking the time out. I want to first thank the mayor for your time, Beth
Always a pleasure.
I pronounced it correctly this time.
You did.
Yeah, I did. This discussion would definitely just to be about what me and you always talk about, the new Ypsilanti, and what it will look like, your thoughts on it, what could we do better, and so I'll start off with just giving people a little insight of you and your background growing up, just a little bit. We don't have to talk too long about it.
You got it. And you had me at Ypsilanti, I got to tell you. I'm just a big fan. And anything I can do to help our city become bigger, better, happier, healthier is what I want to do. My background is a little complex. My father was a historic museum director, and he ran a village when I was a child, all the way through my late teens, that our house was on.
Wow.
Okay, so when I banged out the door when I was a kid, I had a museum that was a village to play in, and it was kind of wild and fun and historic. That musty smell that museums have.
Right.
That's in my DNA. And then at the same time, my mother is totally blind, and she was before I was born. And my sister also became very severely disabled when she entered her teens. And so, and my parents divorced. I lived with a single, severely disabled mother from the age of 9 on. And
wow.
so I've had like a before and after life to some extent.
Right.
I also came out of that with a deep personal understanding about disability and poverty, and how that impacted us at the time, right? I know that I experienced that as a white person. I also experienced it in the 70s, which is which is very different than the poverty that people are experiencing now.
Right.
And so, I'm really conscious of just the harm and the danger that goes along with those.
Right.
Those things.
I think that ended up being great. Your experiences, of course, going through things nobody wants to, but I think you being a mayor now, I had a glimpse of where your leadership started. Just hearing you speak about your household and the roles you had to step up. You didn't go into depth, but I could visually see
right.
You having to step up and do a lot more than the average kid would have to do. So I can see where the leadership started from.
There are some colorful stories in there if you ever want. I think that's another time though. But yeah.
So as far as Ypsilanti talk, city. We got a few townships surrounding us.
We do.
And what are your thoughts on the township as far as, does it play a big role in what we do in our city or not? What's going on around us, or?
I think our relationship with our neighbors and our allies are vitally important to the health of our city. And Ypsilanti acts as, it's the hub where the 3 townships meet.
Right.
Is the center, and that's how the downtown is created. That's why we are a city and they are townships. They don't have necessarily a downtown that you can go to, park, shop, eat, that kind of thing, but we do. And so that's the role that we have. We're at 4.4 miles with a large university in the middle of our city, and so we don't have enough real estate for everybody to live in who works in our city or uses our city for recreation or for shopping and things like that. And so we have to have healthy partnerships, and that includes working on transportation with our partners, working on larger issues like the health of our environment with our partners, working on regional solutions to our mutual needs, which include workforce development and better transportation and better resources and services for the communities that we have that are in need. So that's why I think our relationship with our townships is vital to us.
As far as from a mayor standpoint, how do you feel the relationship is? Is there a good relationship, or there really isn't as far as with the townships?
I would say we have good relationships with the townships, and that that we are respectful of the work that the other has to do, okay? And that, for instance, the townships, Superior and Ypsilanti Township, were able to say that they see the need for our dam removal, okay? The removal of Peninsular Dam, which is something that we're working very hard on right now, raising the money for that. And when we talk to the townships about it, that impacts residents in their city, and yet they were still able to see and agree. Even though it had an impact on their residents, they understood why we had to do it, why we have to move in that direction. Another example is the Ypsilanti Township and the city right now are working collaboratively on making that entrance and exit Huron-Hamilton in and out of the city much better. We're going to be doing traffic calming and repaving and redesigning that bridge, and so that it's safe to bike and walk across, which right now it's not.
Right. And it's a lot of people from Ward 1 walking to that McDonald's to work, the PW3s, the hotel,
the grocery store that's down there, right? And then maybe in the future there might be a YMCA there, and so so we have to make that safe and comfortable and accessible, and so the fact that the township and the city, Ypsilanti Township and the city right now are working very well and easily collaboratively on that project is very exciting, because we're both doing traffic calming on either side, bike lanes on either side, all kinds of great things.
That's beautiful. That's very beautiful. Because I've heard, when I got in politics, I heard a lot about how the township has so much money and they're in their own lane and we're in our own lane. I'm like, well, why aren't we working together?
We are different from the township, and they are bigger than us, and they do have more money. And there's a part of Ypsilanti that, quite frankly, I love. That kind of is like a little bit, wants to say, "Come on, why, let's do it our way, and let's do it with Ypsilanti's name on it." And I'm more interested. Don't worry, I want our city to be a leader in the area, and I do have goals for helping Ypsilanti become a leader in this part of in this region, right? And I think with our vibrant downtowns and some other changes that are coming, which we'll talk about in a minute, I think that we have the potential to become that leader. Okay? That said, it's okay to share credit. It's okay to say that we held hands on this. It's okay to say that we think it's okay for the township to have the Y in it, because where are we going to find room for a Y in our city right now, right?
Gotcha.
And we already tried Water Street, didn't go anywhere, right? And so, we have to just say this is smart, this is not, and just start being a reasonable and strong partner at the table with our regional partners.
I agree. Definitely. What about far as the Amtrak station?
I'm very excited about. So, if you don't know it already, Amtrak and the city have been working on trying to put a train platform station in our city, and for a number of years now. And
would that be where it's already at in Depot Town, or this will be a whole new facility?
Depot Town is going to be the location.
Okay.
And it's not going to be in the exact location, because the physical needs of trains are slightly different now than they were back then. Okay. So we need a certain stretch of straight track and all this jazz. Anyway, there is that stretch of straight track in Depot Town, and it'll essentially be across from the freight house.
Okay.
Not quite where the previous train station was. And this, we've submitted a grant with the federal government. We're probably going to pay for about 80 or 70 or 80% of it. The city has set aside our matching portion of it, so we have the funds ready and available.
Already ready, okay.
And our grant is considered a solid application. I think we're a strong candidate for approval by the federal government, and so we should find out in March, maybe April, depending on how long the federal agency takes to review the grants. And once we get approval, it's shovels in the ground, baby. It's putting out bids and having some fun. So you can you'll be able to buy tickets there, pick up your train, leave. We'll have shelters on it for folks who are waiting in inclement weather, and I think it's going to be nice.
I think that could bring a lot of revenue into the city. And what we're going to do about parking space?
Parking. I have to say, if I never hear the word parking ever again, it'll be a good day for me. But that said, we are revamping our parking.
Okay.
And this is another change that has been needed for a while. Our downtowns are thriving, which is a good thing to happen. And it has caused a problem,
Right.
which is we're running out of parking spaces. I was down in Depot Town the other night. I had to circle around 3 times to find a parking
Right.
space,
I
right?
know
And
that.
that's a common experience, right? And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing the parking throughout the city. We've and adding paid parking to places that have not had paid parking. Our goal is we're going to be making some of these changes because our goal is to make parking spaces turn over more frequently. Part of the problem that's causing, one of the reasons it's causing our parking problem is that people are staying in parking places way long times. They're staying there 6-8 hours, right? It's an easy, free parking space, and why would you mess with it, right? But meanwhile, that's 3 turnovers in a restaurant that a local restaurant could have. In one of their seats, right? And so we're going to have shorter term parking on the streets, longer term parking in our parking lots. We're going to be using that money that we're generating from those to have nicer parking lots, pave the parking lots that we have good lighting, make them safer, right? Striped, good signage, so that everything's clear and understandable. We'll have consistent parking patterns throughout the city, so you won't have to guess. Remember, what's the parking strategy on Michigan Ave versus Depot Town? Right. And we're going to be going towards technology. So you can use your credit card, you can have an app on your phone, you can use coins if you want. Everything's going to be available. And you can sit in your table and extend your parking space if you're doing that. Right. Wow. If you decide you're going to stay for dessert and your parking space is going to run out, you can hit your app and extend your parking space. This is not new technology, but it's going to be new to Ypsilanti. So, so I'm excited about that.
I can see that. I'm seeing it. I can see it. And as far as quick question, as far as the Amtrak, we upgrade our parking and everything. What about our bus station? Where does that tie into?
That's a great question. You're hitting all the high points. Now, we AAATA has been, or AAATA, whichever acronym you use, has been aware that we need a new bus depot. We have outgrown our bus depot. Our ridership is increasing, which is a good thing, and we want it to increase even more. The more people who ride buses, the fewer people are using cars. That's fewer people parking. That's fewer people polluting the air that we're breathing, right? And it's a better use of community resources. So we're in talks with AAATA while they submit for grants to build a brand new bus depot. The bus depot that we build is going to be most likely in the same area that it's in now. We're going to have to grow it, possibly into that parking lot that's behind the bus depot.
Right.
Okay. And then more buses will be able to park there. Okay, they'll go in and out. Right now, buses are having to go around the corner and do crazy things to pick up their passengers.
Right.
In addition, we now know more about designing bus depots and other public buildings and places so that they're safer, so that some of the problems that have been happening at the bus depot, there have been bouts of crime and other issues there. We'll be able to design it so that there's clearer lines of sight and fewer areas that are out of the way where people can cause problems, and the building itself will be safer, the space itself will be safer and more accessible, and with increased usage. I expect that with just more people, more traffic, it'll be safer as well.
Wow, I can see the new Ypsilanti coming together. I can remember where the CEO of the AATA came to the Human Relations Commission and spoke, and I spoke about, he asked at the end any ideas that we had, and I felt people should have some type of ID recognition when getting on the bus, because you would tend to not commit a crime if we know who you are, versus you just putting money in and getting on. You commit a crime and try to cover up and run off. We will know exactly who you are.
That's right.
So I think that'd be a lot safer if we can create some type of identification, to get on the buses. And then I think it'd be pretty good if we could create some type of credit line for working people with their debit cards, where the money ain't on there right now, but they can still get to work and they'll take it out the work check.
Absolutely. Well, that's a really great idea. And Ann Arbor has a program where if you live in Ann Arbor, you can get a reduced bus pass, right,
Okay.
and things like this. And I want to see if we can move towards people busing into town as well as driving into town, so that we can reduce the car traffic going in and out of our city, right? So I want to work with the AAATA to increase usage, to find programs that the city and the university can partner on to help increase ridership and reduce costs, and maybe for some of those short trips into town, people, to go to the store or to go to dinner, they'll bus in and bus out.
Right.
I would love to see that, because that would also impact positively the parking problem that's going on.
Right.
But the buses are playing a bigger and bigger role. As fewer and fewer people who work in Ann Arbor can live in Ann Arbor, and that's where the majority of jobs are, more and more people are driving to Ann Arbor. So they have a workforce housing problem on the western side of the county. And so the people who are working on the western side of the county live in our town and in our neighboring townships.
Gotcha.
They're taking the bus. Okay, so another goal that we have for public transportation is to increase the speed at which people can commute to and from their place of employment, and AAATA is doing some really interesting programs on that. The reason that we want that is because when somebody has to take an hour to and from work every day on the bus to go to their job and come back, that's 2 hours a day they're away from their family.
Right.
That's 2 hours that their family is not doing what families need to do, which is be a cohesive unit and share and help with schoolwork and to just spend time together.
Right.
And so that's about family health, among other things. So there's all kinds of things going on with public transit.
That's great. That's great. So with all of these new things coming to the city, developments, the vision, I can see it. Then this G word comes into play, this gentrification word. Any ideas on combating that you have, as far as, okay, the city has to grow, and I know it has to be hard being a mayor with the expectations of the city to grow, but with that being said, sometimes people can get displaced, so any thoughts on how to combat that? Or
there are a number of things that we can do, and it is a very difficult problem to address. Okay, to my knowledge, we're not seeing displacement yet. There are
jump around the neighborhoods.
Yeah. So but that said, that's not to say that it's not potentially coming. This is tied to home ownership in the city, and right now the city has a little too much rental to home ownership.
67%.
Something like that, yeah. And that's not what a municipality would call a healthy balance. And we need affordable housing, so we can't really reduce the number of rental property in the city much without harming some people. So what we can do, though, is we can shore up and support the people who own homes, particularly the folks who are in neighborhoods that might be subject to displacement.
Southside, Ward 1.
Southside, Ward 1 is exactly, there's many neighborhoods, several neighborhoods in that area that will be at risk when we get closer to that time. And so identifying people in those neighborhoods that might be struggling to keep their home, that need a home improvement, but are worried about the value of their property rising too much and their taxes going up, okay?
Right.
That might be struggling to maintain their property because of age, right? Which just happens to us all, right? So there's programs that are available to help folks keep their homes longer, make their homes the homes that they want to, continue to improve their homes without pricing themselves out of their own home.
Right.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one tactic that we can do, right? The second thing that we can do is when...
I would definitely love to help with that for Ward 1, Southside.
I would love to see those programs enthusiastically used, right? The second thing we can do is we can do workforce development within our city and find folks who are underemployed or unemployed, and help them get the training and support they need to enter industries that are becoming vibrant in our area, right? Tech is one, right?
Huge.
It's a significant industry, right? And tech is great because you don't need a college degree to be successful in tech, right? You need experience, and you need training, and you need, some education sometimes, but a lot of places train in-house, right? And so helping people get enough training to be attractive to businesses coming to our area, and then so that they can have not just a job but a career, right? I get kind of tired talking about jobs. I really want to talk about careers, right? And so that's long-term planning then that people can do for their families. So arts is another area where we have a lot of potential for growth for individuals, to help our individuals and our family and our community become more economically stable and be able to rise with Ypsilanti as we all rise, right? And that would mean, helping artists find success in venues through our Arts Commission that we're just forming right now. We can talk about that next if you want.
Okay.
But also finding, there's non-arts jobs related to arts, right, that are available, and let's help get people involved with them. So, yeah.
So as far as the jobs, careers, does that tie into small businesses?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I love our businesses that we have in our city,
Me too,
right?
I do.
And if you walk downtown, our businesses are exactly the type of businesses that will thrive in a time when everything's mail order, right?
Right.
But we have businesses that sell unique and unusual products that you can't really find online. And the Erie, the Tinker Tech, which is an experiential place for makerspace. There's
Rocket.
Yeah, the Rocket, and which I love. I can't go in there without like practically emptying out my wallet. And then Unicorn Feed and Supply, Blackstone Books, which is which is a community space in addition to bookstore, things like that. And so that's exactly what we want. There's a lot of people in our community, particularly in the Black community, that have full-time jobs, and then they have a side business that they work at night on their own, right? And helping those folks move their businesses to the next level, right? To that end, I don't know if you know that we just opened up a second kitchen incubator in the city. There's one, there's two now, and one is kind of entry level, and one where you just bring in all your stuff every single time, and the second one is more advanced, and you can store your stuff there and have so it's graduating people up through the ladder.
Sweet. That's nice.
The city is
we're moving.
We're moving forward. We're creating opportunities for folks to take those steps.
I really think this sit down is so great because there's just so many things that me as a commissioner I still don't know about. So I can only imagine with the people when they see this, all the things, people get to visualize what you're saying. Because as you're talking, all I can do is just see it. I can see it. I really want Ypsi to compete. I want us to be a Canton, a South Lyon, and really upgrade our city, but keep the heritage still.
Yes.
Still keep the Depot Town feel, and but still upgrade at the same time.
We cannot grow at the cost of losing ourselves.
Correct.
Right. We need to keep our,
what makes us us.
Our grit. Our edginess, and it makes us a little bit loud and cranky sometimes. And and yes, but I love walking down our street and just seeing the wide range of people who live and work and eat and play in our city, and that just brings me so much joy. And it's never, diversity and complexity at our level is never neat, and it's never smooth.
Right.
And that's the joy of it. It has to be a little uncomfortable for it to work.
Right.
And but our city has so much going on. I want to see us become a leader in the region, and I want to see us do that with all of us working together on it.
I totally agree, Mayor. Definitely agree. Ending note, Ward 1 specifically, like what we spoke about, and the resources.
Sure.
What could be our execution plan as far as going into 2020, as far as those resources?
Good question. I have been doing some thinking about how to disseminate information.
Okay.
And how to get people engaged in some of these programs, because the programs that we talked about that can help people shore up their home ownership, maintain their home, grow their home as needed. These are, you have to be an active participant at the table.
You're right.
On them, and so identifying people that are able and willing to be active participants, right, who have the willingness to work with the city and the county and whoever has the program. Finding those people is the challenge. And I see town halls, I see, flyering, I see, lit drops indoors, I see the Human Relations Commission as being a partner at the table on this. Would love to see that happen, I see, we've also got, and here's a tool that could be used at the same time. We have a census that's coming up next year, and there's a complete count group, committee that's coming together to help get as many people enrolled in the census. That census process could be a tool to engage people, also to help find people that are missing, that we're missing right now in some of our programs, because no matter how strong our programs are, there are people who fall through the cracks. How can we find them? And so those are some ways that I hope to engage. I would love to see, a series of maybe town halls, maybe house parties instead of town halls, right? In people's houses. Somebody who's successfully engaged, maybe they host a party with a staff person and a commissioner there. Something like that to talk about it.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I see the communication with Ward 1 really has to be personal. More so than some of our other neighborhoods, and that's each of our neighborhoods has their own personality. That's not a plus or minus. I think it's just a fact.
Pretty aggressive in World 1.
Yeah.
It's understood why, but
years of history that is not pretty in many cases, right? And for good reason. We have to earn the right to have the conversation in many cases. And I appreciate that, and I value it, and I look forward to having the opportunity to earn that place at the table with folks.
I definitely appreciate that, Mary. And to note, I would love going into 2020 to work hand in hand with you specifically on Ward 1 and the city at large. Because Ward 1 I look at Ypsilanti as a team. Mm-hmm. You have to uplift the weakest link in order for the team to grow.
That's right.
And Ward 1, as obvious, we're the weakest link. So
economically, education,
right,
and segregation have done a lot of, have contributed a lot to the place that many people are in that at this time. I would love to be a partner with you on that, and look forward to that.
Definitely.
One last note that we haven't talked about for you. Can I just throw it?
Oh, you can talk about anything you want. Yeah.
I would just want to mention that our 200th anniversary of founding Ypsilanti is coming up in 2023, and this is an incredible opportunity for us to do oral history gathering and find out more about our city and bring more people to the table to help celebrate and acknowledge both the joys and the hard things that have happened in our community, right? And so we've got a vibrant committee that's coming together on that, and I look forward to working with the entire city to have a wonderful 2023 that could be a lot of fun.
I can see it. I can't wait.
Thank you.
And thank you for making me a part of the